Hi, it's Steve Hagedorn, and welcome to our second keynote of the inaugural Learning Revolution Conference. So delighted to have Dr. Bron Stuckey with us. Bron, thank you. You are just arrived in New York. I appreciate your taking the time to do this. I know that it can be taxing, but we really appreciate it. Thanks to ClassFlow for sponsoring the conference, to Blackboard Collaborate for their support. And this is the chance for those of you in the room now to indicate where you're participating from. Look to the left of the map. You're looking for the star icon. Click on it twice and click on the map. And put a shout out in the chat as to where you are specifically, the time, the temperature. I'm in what is now quite warm North Carolina. Maybe it's the warmest it's been, Amy. Special thanks to Amy Brinkley, who's here, who's doing a lot of the behind-the-scenes work. India, you're still awake? We had New Zealand in the last session. As we move forward, feel free to keep putting notices in the chat. We'll move past this map. Bron, I'm going to let you take over. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, Steve. As Steve said, I've only just arrived in New York. I've been on holiday in Scotland, funnily enough, and as you might tell from the accent, I'm not from around here. So I'm normally in Sydney, Australia. So good to see colleagues from all the different parts of the world in session as well. Just to give you a little background to myself, if you don't know me, I used to be a primary or elementary educator and got involved in using games and technology, which drew me into being involved in curriculum development and design of activities for teachers, which in its way brought me into doing research into games in learning. And from that time, I've worked for the last 10 years with the Quest Atlantis program, which some of you may have heard of, which is a virtual world game used around the globe out of Indiana University and the brainchild of the amazing Professor Sasha Barab. And from that program, working with children in middle school age groups around the world and their teachers, I got involved in a program with the amazing Joe Kay and Dean Graham called Massively Minecraft. Now that original program 2 years ago was a server to look at an out-of-school program to look at how children explored the game Minecraft, what they did with it, where they took the learning. So being an out-of-school program, it was free from the restraints of curriculum and was able to develop a philosophy that has become really important to me. A philosophy developed through my work with Quest Atlantis, I have to say, and some amazing kids in the Student Congress of Quest Atlantis, and then further developed through that server play with kids on Massively Minecraft. Which brings me to, where I am today, looking at things in terms of virtual worlds, particularly multiplayer virtual worlds, as a lived curriculum. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about one of the projects of the new Massively Minecraft project, which is really taking off, and we're finding a very exciting addition to the landscape. So that's my background. I suppose it'd be interesting for me to know from you how many of you are school educators or are involved in teacher education. So if you might like to put in the chat while I move on to the next slide, what your relationship to education is, what brings you to this, to explore this revolution that we're going to be talking about over the coming days. Great. So elementary teachers, teacher educators, higher education, fantastic. I do have to say my interest in research is not for research's sake. I'm really interested in research in as much as it can impact practice. And so I'm very keen to encourage teachers to do more in-school research and in-practice research, more action research. And so that's part of the impetus of this current program. Okay, so moving on. I do have to say my slides look really beautiful in Keynote, and then when they were transferred to PowerPoint to upload here, they did lose some of their features.
Bron?
So if you...
We're not,
yeah.
We haven't, our slides haven't moved forward. So do you know to click on the arrow key? There you go.
Yeah, I hadn't moved it yet.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. I know this is being recorded, but if any of you would like my PowerPoint from Keynote with the notes in it, my particular notes, please just email me at the end of the session. I'll be happy to send it along to you. Okay, so this current new massively Minecraft project, which my partner in crime for this is Dean Groom, who is at home in Australia. What we want to do is build on that philosophy that we developed in our earlier works and take the time to listen more than tell. So we want to listen to and learn from all the stakeholders who are involved in the use of games like Minecraft. And I don't want to just focus on Minecraft. I want to see Minecraft as maybe a bit a leading edge, but there will be other games with similar affordances. So you may think of other games as we're talking that may fit that bill. So all the stakeholders, interestingly enough, when we look at a game like Minecraft, parents are a large stakeholder in the use of that game for learning. And in many cases, parents can tell you a lot more about the capability of their students and what they are learning because they're the first-hand observers of that and in some cases co-players with their children. We want to build a philosophy that's cultivated from practice. So this project is about learning what that practice is in all its nitty-gritty and in all the different forms and context that it's played out in. We want to learn from free-range self-motivated learners, and there are plenty of those, as I'll tell you in a little while. And look at all the ways teachers reinvent this game in their teaching, or in clubs, or in other kinds of groups, other contexts, and we'll see some of those a little later. Actually, that's a really nice quote that I like about technology that I think comes from Chris Bigham, that it's not the invention that makes a difference in the classroom, it's how teachers reinvent it. And I think we're going to show you some of that out of this project. And to establish a solid grassroots social and media research agenda. So we don't see games as a separate entity, we see them as a media. And so they should be considered as part of the media literacies that we are engaging in as educators and that we're asking our learners to engage in. So let's just step back a little bit and think about play. And while I could have taken quite a few quotes here from Plato or Einstein about play, I particularly like this Rogers quote because it really gives us a license to allow kids to play. Now, as a primary school teacher, I included many games and lots of play in my classroom. So the game idea isn't new, and I suppose I get a little annoyed when I hear people saying that, you know, digital games are new. Well, good teachers already brought puzzles and all kinds of other games into their classroom. It's just a new media to have that play in. But play is very important. And play with imagination and play with creativity is very important. So I think that if we start from thinking about play is really the work of childhood, we've got a good context to jump out from. And interestingly, I took this comic from a commentary site, and I'll give the reference for it a little later. But I think this is the reality of the way a lot of kids see games in the context of their learning. Games really help us put knowledge to work. And so while we can get all the knowledge in our different contexts and our textbooks and other researching on Google, actually being able to put that knowledge to work is a powerful thing. And I really love this comment. What's the y-axis? How well I understood orbital mechanics. So it's the level of understanding, I think, Steve. So that's what I'd say it was. Okay, so that's just the background. I want to think now about Minecraft itself. So can you raise your hand if you've heard of Minecraft? And I should hear a stampede of hands going up in the room from people who have heard of Minecraft. And I think if you have or are associated with any child under the age of 16 or so, maybe 18, you can't have avoided hearing about Minecraft. Now I want you to leave your hand up if you play Minecraft, if you've played in Minecraft, you've had the experience of playing in Minecraft. So a smaller set of people, but still a good number. So that's fantastic. Well, the interesting thing about Minecraft is, and it really has changed the landscape of play in schools with games. And there's some really interesting reasons for that. Well, first up, let's look at the statistic for it. By 2013, and it has only been going a few years, 33 million copies of the game have been licensed. 33 million accounts have been created. So that's a huge number to consider. And it's played on computers, PC, Mac, Xbox, tablets, mobile phones, in fact, all kinds of devices. It's played in single user mode, where you're just playing for yourself, or in multiplayer mode, where you'll be playing on a server, able to enjoy the social context of the game with other players. The game has its very creative side, so it has a mode for being creative, where you are free from the threat of monsters. And then it has a survival mode, where you will be attacked by monsters as the sun goes down. And while it's a blocky, quirky kind of little game, those threats are kind of ominous, and they do add a layer of difficulty to the game that the kids really love. It's up to your imagination and your creativity what you're going to be doing in Minecraft. And it's not like the Oregon Trail, where you might have picked it up to use it for a period of time in your teaching and then put it back on the shelf or back in the library. This game is being played out throughout the year in very many different areas of the curriculum, and outside the curriculum in what, as I said, the LIS curriculum of digital citizenship and of social and identity building. So it's a really interesting game that came into schools mostly from the students requesting it. So it's the first game I personally, in my 10, 15 years now working with games in schools, have seen teachers coming to me saying, you know, what is Minecraft? How can I do it? I hear the kids talking about it. I know they're playing it, or my children are playing it at home, and I feel like I should be using it. I should be getting in there. I should be playing with it. So it's the kids have brought it to school. The kids have brought it to clubs. I was on a plane between Edinburgh to Heathrow and then here to New York today, and I would have seen no less than 30 kids playing it on laptops and tablets around airport terminals and in other places. So it's really swept the world, and it's not just the Western world that's really heavily into using it. So it's a bit of a game changer. And yeah, some good comments there from Kim about how the game has helped you recreate other games, capture the flag and other sorts of games, invent your own game inside the game. And that's why it's known as a sandbox genre game. But I think more than a sandbox, and perhaps something that a real sandbox had, you could play in the sandbox by yourself with your bucket and spade, or you could play with other people in the sandbox. And I think that's the big deal about Minecraft that really excites me, is the social engagement of it. And I want to tell you a little bit about what the Wiki is doing now. So the Minecraft Experience Wiki started about 6 weeks ago. It's very new, and the aim of it was to try and map the genome of Minecraft. So what does Minecraft look like when it's played all over the world, in all the different contexts that it's used in, and with all the different players who are using it? What we wanted to do was to build a relationship, to look at the relationship Minecraft has to learning. And you can't do that from your own context because you're only looking through one lens. So this wiki is an attempt to get people to share all the juicy things they're doing in their context with Minecraft, and to start to articulate what learning they're seeing in those activities. And so we've invited parents and kids and youth and educators and people working in teacher education and enthusiasts and people who program and design mods, anyone really who has a relationship to Minecraft, to come in and explore, share, and comment on the things that they are seeing. And so in this 6 weeks, it's really leaping into life with a huge number of activities that have started to build. And from what I can see from many of you commenting in the chat, we have some prime candidates there to be adding their own activities to the map. And so we have a panel session this week at the Games for Change conference, where six panelists, learned educators, and some youth participants. One of our students is only 11, who'll be on that panel for 250 game designers and educators, talking about Minecraft and learning, and using this wiki as the source of their information. So it's a bit of a focal point in the panel to be able to look through what's been added here and to encourage people to continue adding, and so that we can really flesh this out. And yes, the URL for the wiki is at the very bottom there. It's just minecraftexperience.net. And you can jump in. You do have to join the wiki. Now, the reason for that is we didn't make it a wholly public wiki because we do have some very young contributors, and we wanted at least to be able to moderate and prevent them from getting spammed and a whole lot of other things that a totally open wiki would have. So you do have to join, but once you've joined, you can then contribute to the wiki. You can add your own page, and start telling us your story. Anyone can read the content on the wiki. You just need to join it to contribute. So lots of juicy stuff there, and I'm sure from the comments you've made, lots of further juicy stuff to be added. So who's contributing? At this point, it's anyone who has a passionate view on Minecraft, and we're particularly interested in its disruptive and expressive capabilities. Informal and formal learning contexts, so we're not ruling out any group or club or activity. We want to hear from everyone. Parents, schools, clubs, institutions, players, evangelists, educators. And interestingly enough, this is an area where teachers, we don't hold all the reins on this topic. And we have a lot to learn from those other people who are using Minecraft, kids running their own servers and the kinds of learning they're seeing. And so far we have contributors from the USA, Canada, El Salvador, Mexico, Australia, New Zealand, Great Britain, and wherever you are that you're going to be adding content to the wiki. And as I said, it's a free hosted wiki. There's no cost, and we don't ask you to recreate all of your content. You may have already blogged it outside and shared a lot of your work. You can just create a page and put pointers to it, or jump in and join some of the other discussions that are happening there. So it's a chance to, as it were, showcase the things you're doing and point out to your own good works. Okay, so one of the first things we noticed is a really great opportunity to showcase global school contexts. And so I've just grabbed a couple of images there that relate to 4 of the school groups that we've got currently showcased, and we have many, many more, but I just picked these as groups doing very interesting things. So the very first one is a group in El Salvador at Academia Britannia Cascalata, and I won't have pronounced that correctly, which is a Year 7 group, and that's the logo of the school down there. I don't have an image for their work yet, who've been working on designing fortresses in Minecraft, and then testing them with dynamite. Really cool, fun stuff. Working from a real piece of curriculum work for Year 7, and using the dynamite in Minecraft and other weapons to try and test the value of their fortress designs. So that was a very fun unit. That was their entree to Minecraft, and it's proven to be so successful they're looking at other areas of the curriculum that it might be valuable to use it in. Now the 3 young students you can see there holding their designs are students from the Colegio Peterson in Mexico, and they were working on design and architecture and employing their imagination. And you'll see on the wiki lots of comments from the kids about how much they enjoyed being able to imagine things, test designs, and really build and be creative. And they've all added and started adding pictures and testimonials on the kinds of things they've been doing in their explorations. The Minecraft figures you can see in the bottom image are from a rainforest unit of a low socioeconomic school in New South Wales in Australia. And the students there were exploring rainforest biomes and designing them in the Minecraft environment. Some really fun stuff happening with around that teacher who does this work, Kate Booth in Australia, and just give a shout out to her. And she's contributed quite a few pieces and curriculum area content to the wiki to show how this can be used with elementary students in very fun ways. Now, in the case of a number of these, they're not using an open internet server. They're using either a LAN server on their school network, which can very easily be set up across up to 10 computers, or you can actually run an intranet server within your school that the kids can access, and that's a good protected way to get started with doing this in your school. The top picture that you see on the right is some more senior students doing some very adventurous work using Raspberry Pi, programmable handhelds, to actually program on those switchable devices to make it build in Minecraft. So they're using the Raspberry Pis to actually do the building, a programmed build inside Minecraft. And so they're learning coding and other activities related to programming and making that then realizable inside a Minecraft server. So that's a little taste of some of what's going on, and right across the globe, teachers and kids doing really exciting things. And I'm glad to see people contributing other great ideas and naming other Fab educators that we can contact and invite to add their content to the wiki. Okay, one of the other things we're finding on the wiki is a really brilliant chance to highlight controversies around games, particularly games like Minecraft. And I'll give you a minute just to read the comments here and see if you can tell me, and you can put this in the chat, if you can see what the topic of these two quotes is and who you think they might be from. And they're really quite different on the one topic. And while you're doing that, I might just read some of the comments in and make sure I haven't missed juicy things in the chat. Yes, and great shout out to Minecraft EDU and Joel Levin and the great work he's done in getting really good priced Minecraft accounts available to schools and in helping support an interface that makes it manageable for non-techie teachers to run a server in their school. And also the work, lots of juicy content on the Minecraft EDU site to give you advice on how to use this in your teaching. So looking at the two pieces there, the two quotes, what do you think? Yeah, right. Heather, Robert, Peggy, Kim, you're on the money. Yeah, the first one is a kid's comment, and the second one is a parent. And the topic of their comments is Minecraft addicting? And it's interesting to see that the child doesn't consider addiction a bad thing at all. In fact, is giving advice on how you could make it more addicting for kids to play. On the other hand, the parent is commenting that it's such a bad thing, totally regrets purchasing it for her children because they can't get them off it. And we've been collecting blog posts from parents that are out on the internet, and many parents comment that they have difficulty getting their kids off Minecraft play, and whether that's single user mode or multiplayer, that it is an issue for parents. But I think we need to ask ourselves what it is that kids are addicted to. And as I said, this is not play like perhaps Candy Crush Saga. This is play where the kids are using their imagination, they're employing their and putting to work their creativity. They're socially engaged if they're playing on a multiplayer server. They're designing and realizing designs, testing ideas, building approximations of things. They're tinkering with concepts. So what exactly is it they're becoming addicted to? And we need to look deeper at that. And I think these two comments give us an idea of some of the controversy that surrounds Minecraft play and also the concept of addiction. So I think if kids were addicted to tinkering with concepts and testing ideas, we'd be pretty happy. So I think there are lots of very positive things here, and the term addiction obviously doesn't frighten kids at all. Yeah, Steve's saying I'm addicted to work, that's meaningful. Yeah, but the term addiction is very worrying to parents. And one of the things the Massively Minecraft project will be running in May is some webinars and hangouts for parents to discuss moderating screen time and managing screen time. Just to get parents, not us as educators telling parents how to do that, but having parents share their strategies and the kinds of things they do to engage the students in play, but to put it in balance. So there are issues surrounding that, and of course the Minecraft experience isn't about just describing the positive. We want to hear the negative things, and we want to look deeper. We want to research what those issues really are. So this is really exciting, and I really love these two sets of comments. And when the kids were asked about addiction, it's totally positive. They couldn't, you know, they want to know how to make it more addicting. And for the older kids, that becomes when they can add texture packs and add their own mods and place their own conditions, run their own server, you know, manage to, as someone, Kim, I think, said earlier, build games within games, so build their own game within the Minecraft space. So there's a lot of exciting things in there, and maybe addictions, and we want to swap that word out for something else. But if I could get kids to be addicted to school, I'd be really happy. So maybe we have a lot to learn from Minecraft. Okay, so the other thing we're finding is really exciting is in the wiki, and is growing ever present, is the opportunity for learning in much less traditional contexts. And so we've had quite a few comments and situations driven by homeschool parents who have taken up Minecraft. They've heard about it from their kids like every other parent, and have been looking at it as a learning context for homeschooling and for homeschool networks and other online schools. And that first comment there is from a homeschooling mother who I actually know through her children's association with Quest Atlantis. And they moved on to Minecraft. And that's a very small piece I took out of her quote, which is kind of cropped off there a bit. But you can see that she's recognizing Minecraft as an assessment tool. And her kids have started to, instead of building a diorama in a cardboard box, they're building their idea or their realization or their recreation or their model of something in Minecraft and presenting that as an assignment to their teachers. And I think that's really exciting. The parents are recognizing this. And she, if you read the full quote, she says she was very worried. She didn't like the game. She'd heard from other people that it wasn't appropriate. And in observing her kids play, she's totally turned around. And she's made some very insightful comments about the use of the game in her learning context. The graphic you can see in the middle is a really interesting project that was run earlier this year, very recent, the Cloudmaker project, which in Liverpool in England, where children and designers and architects came together using Minecraft, 3D printers and robotics to examine urban planning and building. And so these were kids working with real practitioners from the university and exploring bridging between the in-game and the physical world. And so designing things and then 3D printing them to have a look at how that design worked out. So some really interesting things there in terms of bridging the game into, I don't like to use the term real world, the physical world, and exciting crossovers into the makerspace design areas. And the third one there is from my colleague Barry Joseph, who's on the panel here at Games for Change on Thursday, who's been doing work at the American Museum of Natural History using Minecraft. And so they run a day-long program in looking at food production, and they run it inside Minecraft and outside, and use the game to test ideas from things that the students are studying during the day. And Barry has a growing interest in bringing games like Minecraft into the museum as spaces for children to test their ideas and to design new solutions to age-old problems. So we're seeing lots and lots of different contexts now where this quirky little game is really igniting a lot of imagination. This one is one that I'm very excited about, and again, one of the people in this group, Elizabeth Morrow, is Marianne Malmstrom, and her student, Snowkid, will both be on the panel at Games for Change on Thursday. Now, she's going to be a 10-year-old standing up in front of 250 game designers and learned educators, and articulately telling her side of what Minecraft means to her in terms of learning. And some of that came from this project, Escape Tomorrow, from their school, where the kids designed a game within Minecraft that you have to escape the planet Snickerdoodle, heading to your new planet, Snickerdoodle, sorry, and you have to escape the planet you're currently on. And there are some rules the kids devised on how you do that and how you're going to get away. Now, what is exciting about this is they designed the game and its rules, and they've played it through several times, and they've made a promo video for it. So if you Google Escape Tomorrow on YouTube, you'll find it. But they've given it away to the rest of the world as an open source game. You can get the map to play the game, and they invite people to play it and then give feedback so they can keep refining the game. And so they're working in the form of real game designers, of being iterative, of getting player testing and then modifying and reworking their game. And that's a very exciting process. And these kids are in a very lucky context in that their teacher believes in what she calls follow the learning, which is very much in keeping with the Massively Minecraft project philosophy of stepping back and watching where kids can take this new technology, because we don't know the horizon. We have to watch the kids build it. We have to see where they can take it. Now, the second project there is a similar project called Minecraft Lifeforms from New Zealand, and another really exciting one about planning and designing. And you have to build a whole city and system. And the teacher has given that away, created the whole pro forma for how to run the game in Minecraft, and again invites people to take that, run with it, and then give feedback on how that ran for you. And I think these, as someone said earlier, these creations of game inside the game take it to a whole nother level, especially if the kids are responsible for it and have some ownership for how that works out. So, and these kind of things really warm my heart in terms of, as a primary teacher, in seeing very young children actually designing games that kids in other parts of the world will get to play. So I don't want to talk too much more. I'd like to have some time for questions and to hear from you and other ideas you have. But that's what we're doing with the Minecraft Experience server. As I said, it's a chance to map the genome of Minecraft and to think about what comes after Minecraft. This game really has opened up a whole lot of things for teachers and parents and kids. But it won't be the only game of its type. Lots of other things will come along. As Jim G reminded me, The Sims has been around for a long time and was equally a game in which children could engage their imaginations to design and build and create in all the different forms of The Sims. So it's not the only game of its form, but because of its simplicity, and you can take it from using it with 4-year-olds who don't even know how to type through to using it with 16-year-olds, as you saw, who are programming devices or building engines and machines inside the game itself. So it's very extensible in its use, and you see it used across many areas and many disciplines. So I'm just going to have a quick look. Steve, did you pick up on any questions that I should be going back to?
Bron, I decided to say that I was on my mobile cooking dinner. You listening and telling I'm seeing the chat. If you have a question for Bron, and I missed it, go ahead and post it in the chat, or you can raise your virtual hand, and we'll let you ask that question. Do you see the question from Peggy?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the comment from Therese. I love that. My 21-year-old son was addicted to TV. He learned eventually how to monitor screen time. I'm hoping this will happen for my 10-year-old son who's addicted to Minecraft. Yeah, I think it will, but I think TV is a very sedentary thing. Engagement in Minecraft is many things, and I think we need to look deeper to see what it is that they're engaging in and what it is they might be getting addicted to. You know, if it's social, lots of the kids are going home from school and hanging out on a Minecraft server with their friends, or running a server because they want to socialize with their friends. So there's a social aspect to it there. There's the creativity. There's the standard game threat of playing in survival. One of the schools that's showcased on the Wiki has an interesting thing where they have an economy on their school Minecraft server, which they invented. It's funny money for their world, a little like Linden's were in Second Life. And if the kids design something really fantastic on their private world, on their single game, the school will buy it off them and put it into the school server world. And so, you know, the kids are creating things that will become an artifact in the school server and buying for that, but they added it to the economy so that the school will pay for it and the kids get the benefit of that, not only being seen, but then they have money that they can spend on other artifacts and things for their personal builds. Yeah.
Before you spoke, we heard from images. And one of the questions that came up in the session was, in his framework for literacies, it felt like it was still very much a top-down directed approach. If we assume self-direction, then addiction is one of the things that we would coach people through in terms of directing their lives. Is that a reasonable way of differentiating between how we think about addiction, between trying to create barriers to addiction versus helping students understand themselves how to direct around that?
Absolutely, and I think, you know, these are life skills, as was already pointed out by that comment. And I personally believe that there are addictive personalities that will be more likely to be addicted to something. But you could look at 20 kids and say these 20 kids are addicted to Minecraft, and each one of them may be honing in on a different aspect of it. They're not all addicted to the same thing. I think one of the things, we have had so many requests in the last year, Dean and I, to run some sessions on managing screen time for parents. And because it is of concern, parents want to find a viable way to help their kids learn to moderate their own behaviour, but also to offer them alternatives. And I know there are some interesting stories about when parents pull their kids off Minecraft. It might be to go to dinner or to go and do your homework, which doesn't seem like a fair trade if you've been engaging and building something with your friends online. And where parents should be thinking more about engaging with their kids. Part of my concern with parents and teachers is we're not playing enough with kids. Many parents have kids who play Minecraft and have never sat down to play it themselves or look at it. And many teachers, equally will manage kids playing in Minecraft who will spend very minimal time in it. So you do need to know more about it yourself to know how to advise kids. But I think it's got to come from them, and we need to have that conversation. I think there are too many things happening in Minecraft for it to be one addiction like television. Television's a broadcast. You sit there, you passively receive something, unless it's interactive television today, which I will question how interactive that is. But if you watch kids in Minecraft building something or facing some kind of challenge, or setting challenges for each other, or building games, they were doing that with paint, with pencils, with chalk, with Lego bricks, with all kinds of other physical implements in other forms of play. So I'm just looking for the question. Yeah, I think addiction to us is a very negative term, and to kids, is it addicting, is a very positive thing. Wow, yes, it's really addictive. You know, it's a really good game. So, you know, maybe we want to play with a different lexicon there, because addiction may not be what it's all about. The question about how much does Minecraft cost, each player needs an account, and then it's free to run a server. The server software you can download and manage. There are some interesting issues that surround if you're going to run a server. Should you run it 24/7? You know, Marianne at Elizabeth Morrow School does run a server 24 hours for her students in her school, primarily because if the kids have accounts, they'll go somewhere to play, and they can access servers outside of your control. So if the school has set up activity around Minecraft, it could be seen as a responsibility the school needs to take in terms of having that server accessible for the kids as a safe space to play outside of school. And interestingly enough, people say, and you know, but don't you have to moderate them? Doesn't a teacher have to be on there to police them? I worked in Quest Atlantis for 10 years and currently in a couple of years of Minecraft. And really, if you ask kids to measure up and you treat your server space as a community, the kids will step up into leadership and into very positive behaviours. But they are kids, and they need to be able to trip and fall, but to do that in spaces with trusted adults. So our role isn't there to be the police, but to be there to counsel or advise them and to play with them, to see what it's like, how easily you can get angry with something and type something that's mean-spirited. But then to have the kids think about that and think about whether that may have hurt someone's feelings. This is all, as I said, a lived curriculum, a lived experience. I would measure the kids who've played Minecraft and been in a lot of online social spaces, when they get into places like Facebook and other social media, won't have the problems that we see from a lot of mid-teens at the moment. Kids need to experience this, and they need to have us in those spaces playing with them to be able to advise them, but not to police them, because, you know, that's no fun for them, and they won't want to be in those spaces if that's the only role we take.
I'm paraphrasing, but Buckminster Fuller said something like, if you want to change people's minds, don't try to convince them. Give them a tool, a new tool that requires that they think differently. Does gaming make us think differently about learning?
Well, I think it can. And I think, particularly in the way Jim G looks at it, he describes games as being the small g and the big G game. So the small g is the game itself, the thing you play. And then the big G is the community that surrounds it. So the big G is the, the forums and discussion spaces and the conversations that kids are having about play. It's the YouTube videos they make, teaching, when you first learn how to make a trapdoor, what's the first thing you want to do? Well, you want to teach other people how to do that. So we see kids using the game as a springboard to so many other media literacies and so many other things they're motivated to do and communicate. And I think that's a game changer. We've always had play. We had Lego before we had Minecraft. We had puzzles, we had other challenges, we had other kinds of play and other kinds of games. But I think this big G game, using all the media and social media available, and using it in such natural ways is really a big game changer in terms of learning. And interestingly, I was talking to an educator in Scotland, Derek Robertson, and he was saying that he's going to be running a pre-service teachers course on Minecraft, where he's just going to put them on a server and treat them like 7-year-olds and not hold their hand or teach them how to do anything or teach them how to manage their behavior, but have them learn in the way kids do. As soon as they can't do something, they Google it, they go find it. They're not sitting around waiting for someone to explain how to walk or how to get a new skin. We had an episode where we took teachers on to the Massively Minecraft server, and one of the teachers said, I notice you all look different and we don't. Why is that? And the student said, well, we went and got skins, which is just the change for your avatar. And they said, well, can you tell us how to do that? And one of the kids said, don't you know how to Google? So I think it's not just games, it's the whole notion of media literacies in a combination, and games are part of that. Does that make sense?
If you're asking me, absolutely. Oh, it says there may be another microphone. I wonder if that's me. Or maybe it's mine asking the wrong question. So if you have a question, please feel free to put it in the chat. If we've missed it, you can post it again or raise your virtual hand and let us know. So how would this differ sort of substantively from building model trains, becoming a part of a model train community, doing an activity together, experiencing children in that way? Is there something unique about the electronic social that goes beyond anything we've ever done before?
I think so, and I think one of the first things we see about Minecraft is we don't see the gender difference we might have seen in games before it. Girls play as much as boys, and I have heard some people say yes, girls design and boys, prefer survival, and that actually isn't borne out. Girls and boys equally play in Minecraft, and I see that as really interesting. It's the first time I've seen that in the same way. We did have hints of it in Quest Atlantis, but overwhelmingly girls and boys are attracted to play in Minecraft. And I think that's because of the broad spread of things you can be doing in it. And it affords a lot of different kinds of activity. So I'm not sure I answered your question there, Steve. So
but that's one of the beautifully.
I think that's one of the first things that's really different. And I think anyone who's got kids, as I said at the airport today, would have equally seen girls and boys playing Minecraft as entertainment, and their parents dragging them onto the plane, asking them to close it down as they got onto the plane.
That's fascinating. Hey, Peggy wants to know if you would talk about your ideas for gamifying TV for teachers.
Gamifying TV?
That's Peggy's question.
Oh, Okay, that would be a whole nother talk. I actually do quite a lot of work these days in gamification and teacher professional learning. And for the most part, it's taking aspects of games that we know are successful and applying those where appropriate to other contexts, non-game contexts, to use them as ways to motivate people, but not just to motivate them, to give them a sense of their own identity. If you have a look on YouTube, there's a couple of presentations I've given there on gamification. I'm not sure about gamifying TV. I think all of us as educators have grown up in more passive media than the media these children have. Most of the media that they're part of, whether it's Twitter or Facebook or YouTube or Animoto or any of the tools they're using, are far more interactive than what was on offer to us as children. But that being said, look, I live in Australia, kids are online in games, but they still go outside and play cricket, kick a ball, ride a bike, do lots of other things. I think it's everything in balance. Maybe on the teacher side, our balance is out of alignment with our kids, and we need to get in and play more. We need to be part of that interactive space. And you can't learn everything, but you can target something. And I think Minecraft's a great place to start.
I think that's a lovely way to finish. I'm clapping for you.
I did want to say,
yes?
I did want to say, if anyone wants to follow up, I'm very happy to. If you want to join the Wiki and come and tell your story, or recommend it to someone you know who's doing something fantastic. If you are interested in joining our parent webinars on managing screen time, we'd love to hear from you. And we do have a server for teachers to play, and after the start of May, we'll be running some play sessions for teachers who want to experiment, but maybe want to do it with other teachers, where you'll feel comfortable learning to walk and run and play. But we're not going to hold your hand. We're going to give you some challenges, the same as we might for the kids. So if any of that excites you, if you've thought about joining in on Minecraft but didn't have the opportunity, then please get in contact.
Bron, thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me. I hope it was of use to people, and I hope people find it inspiring enough to go and look at the Wiki and see what everyone's doing.
I've already gotten emails from people asking when the recording will be up. The evenings are hard for people, so I think they're excited to hear what you had to say, and I really appreciate it. I'm clapping for you. I did put a link to our next session, which is Bernard Dole, who talks about the 8 laws of the self-directed learner, which is coming right up. Bron, I hope you get good sleep in your combination of Australia, Scotland, New York times.
Thanks, Steve. And thanks, everybody, for coming.
Thanks, everybody. We're going to go ahead and close now. I'm going to turn the recording off.